Sebastian, another good individual performance for you last weekend. Picked up another assist there, I think. You've been having a great season. How's that feeling?
I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Obviously it's nice to get personal accolades, but for me the biggest thing is the team. We haven't quite got those victories that we need to get, points on the road, that sort of stuff. So for me, obviously, like you said, to pick up an assist, it's nice to be playing decent on the season, but for me it's just how can I help my team win? Like assists are a byproduct of that, but like my foremost thought is just how to help the team win. The fans come out every weekend, support us, all that, even when the season hasn't been great, and I think it's time for us to pick up points and get them wins that they deserve.
So what are the things that you look at then as a component of that team as an individual when you talk about lifting the team, making the contributions beyond assists? What are the things that you're looking at?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a lot of young guys, obviously I'm young myself, but I've been around this is my 7th professional season, so I try to mentor guys as much as I can. We have some older guys, Marley, we have Becky, we have Jordan, obviously, Philly, those guys, and just kind of learning from them and see what they have, what they do to mentor the younger guys and kind of help them myself like that, obviously playing at MLS level, I've seen and played with some very good players, and just helping guys kind of perform like that. Say, hey, I've seen it at the next level. I know all you guys want to get to the next level. What can you do to be like that? Just kind of bringing that energy, that knowledge to the team, I think is helpful.
And then how do you balance those things when you are performing well, things are going well individually, but they aren't collectively going there for the team, and that's obviously important. How do you kind of balance those two things and maintain some satisfaction in your individual performance, but also kind of try to lift the team?
Right. Obviously, it's tough. You just try to do your own job. Sometimes that's all you can do. You can work on yourself, and even like you said, getting assists, it's a good performance. You can say I'm having a good season, but I'm not happy with wins. So in that aspect, I still want to challenge myself to be better, to do more. Maybe instead of one assist, I pick up an assist and another key pass or something like that to help the team get over that hump to start winning games. So yeah, it's a balance. Obviously I want to do my part and help the team, but I can always do more.
And then obviously one of the things that's kind of bitten this team has been mistakes, goals given up in stoppage time, just an individual error, stepping on the ball or something like that. How do you work to kind of clean those things up both individually and collectively to eliminate some of those errors?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we have young guys, like I said, guys that don't have too many professional games. I think that just comes with time, obviously people that are coming back from injury have had quite a few injuries as well. It takes a little bit for them to get back going. I think it's just about lifting them up. Everyone makes mistakes as part of the game, and it's just patting on the back, say, hey, like, you made a mistake, no problem, we're with you, and pushing them for the next week to be better.
All right, TJ, got your first goal for the team on Saturday. How does that feel?
It was awesome, very relieving. Wish we could have gotten a better result though, but it was a great feeling to finally score the first one, and hopefully there's more to come.
Right, so you mentioned the result there. Results have been hard to come by. How do you kind of continue to have a positive attitude and work towards those results when things aren't really going
well? I think we just look back to the performance. If you compare the North Carolina performance to this past Saturday, it was a huge improvement, and we take that, we run with it, and hopefully we can go out and do the same thing tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll walk away with 3 points.
You mentioned the difference in the North Carolina game and the Charleston game. What were some of the things you focused on in the week in between to kind of get back at the good performance?
I think it was, really just taking advantage of the moments we were on the ball, breaking them down in transition, really keeping the ball possessing in the attacking third, generating chances. We don't always need to generate shots, but I think we had 10 corners, various long throws, just gaining territory and getting opportunities in the attacking third.
You played college soccer, Yale, obviously. What's been one of the biggest transitions for you coming into championship, the difference between the college game and the professional game?
Definitely play a lot more. College, especially the Ivy League, is very hectic. It's very, very direct. So it's been pretty refreshing to get back to trying to play a bit more and possess, be in the final third. And I actually have a lot of freedom in my role sometimes, especially with having Seb or Dispay or Scarlett or Farrell around me, and I can get high, I can rotate inside. So that's been a lot of fun for me, but also a little challenging at first.
What's been challenging? What's been most challenging?
I struggled at the start really with timing and judging space. It's obviously a quicker game than college, and really quick, talented wingers that I have to deal with, especially on the defensive end. And so judging space, a lot of guys can get to places before I can. I'm not the quickest. So just using my brain, knowing when, okay, now I have to go, now I have to stay.
How do you feel like that adjustment has been going for you?
It's been a lot easier since I moved back to center back. I'm more comfortable there since I played there for the majority of my college career. Left back at the start of the year was a little more challenging, trying to kind of gauge that. I kind of compare it to man-on-man versus zone defense in basketball. That's how my mom always told me to think about it. Helped me out a little bit. So.
Yeah. And what are you still looking to kind of improve personally for the rest of the season?
I think we've got to get back to the clean sheets, so that's a big thing for me. Blocking my shots or, just preventing things from getting in a defensive third anyways, right? Organizing the guys in front of me a little bit more, blocking crosses, winning more aerial duels, things like that.
All right, Brendan, after kind of taking the week, further reflection on the result against Charleston, performance there?
Yeah, result obviously is not good enough, not what we wanted. To lose at home is never good enough, but the performance itself was phenomenal. It was a big step forward. We popped one of the best teams in the league. We gave them a goal 6 minutes into the game. That was their first pass in our half of the field in the game. Those mistakes can't happen. It's a physical mistake, but it's also a mental mistake. The more we look back at it, we have to cut those out. The guys understand that. And when you're in a little bit of a rut to start the season, things like that tend to happen. But we're training well. We're playing really well. When you're generating 10 corners against a team like Charleston that can bring league all-stars off their bench, that's a really good sign. So there's no panic in the group. We know performances like that usually lead to wins.
You mentioned some of the positives. What were some of the things that particularly jumped out to you as have improved over the course of the season or looked like they were really kind of culminating last Saturday?
Yeah, intent, but also personnel. Having, a full slate of guys available is really big in this league. The margins are so fine. I mean, we've stacked up more losses than I would want to in the first half of the season, but all of those, bar one or two, are one-goal losses. If you take away Lexington, the first game of the year, and Charleston down there, they're one-goal losses. And that tells me that, the game's on a razor's edge at that point between a draw and taking 3 points.
You mentioned kind of just cleaning up some of the mental errors. Obviously, you've seen that goals in stoppage time with kind of an error on Saturday. What does that actually look like to take that as an idea, we got to clean up these mistakes, and then translate that into something else?
It's a process. You stay in the process like we did last year before we got on that big run. You just have to, point the mistakes out. The guys that make them or us collectively have to put our hands up and say these are preventable and, not repeat those errors. It's as simple as that, really. I've been through 16 or 17 professional seasons now, and it's on the bench, and the process never changes. When you stick to the process, things get cleaned up and you ultimately end up in a good position.
Loudoun coming in tomorrow night. Probably fair to say there's no easy games in this league at this point, but another tough opponent, high flying on a good run. What are you expecting from them?
Oh, they're on fire, and their tempo's great, and they probably have the hottest midfielder in the league in Abacora. So we highlighted him a little bit in ways that we want to hope to contain, but honestly, he looks like a talent that's going to emerge out of this league very soon, in my opinion. So there's a lot to account for there when the team plays with great tempo and belief, because they've won all these tight games that we've given away. They're hard to break down, and it's hard to break them. It's hard to break that belief, and they'll be coming in here fully expecting that they're going to win the game.
One of the things you talked about after Saturday was just create those opportunities. We've got to finish them. Obviously, in a situation like this, be another need to finish those opportunities.
Yeah.
How do you go about that to make sure that when those opportunities arise, you do put them all back in?
It's IDP sessions, it's film for forwards, it's timing for them, it's repetition in front of goal, all things that we give them on a weekly basis. But the reality is, we have 2.17 expected goals, and Charleston has 1.07, and we gifted them the one. I mean, you couldn't tactically beat them any worse than we did, and you couldn't, put our guys in any better position than we did. And the guys know that, and now, it's just about individual performances to finish off games.
So last year when Loudoun came to visit, there was a incident. It was alleged that a player from Loudoun had used a homophobic slur. Friday night is Pride Night being celebrated here. Can you just reflect on that incident, and then also just sort of homophobia more generally in the league?
Yeah, I have no time for that. I know my team have no time for that. It was an unfortunate incident. I hope to never see that again in a game. I would be happy if I never saw an incident like that again in a game. Pride Night touches every family, and in a positive way. It should be in a positive way. So my hope is that we can celebrate the night, not have any issues, and quite frankly not have any issues like that throughout the year. I just don't think there's a place in sport or life for going down that road.